Have you ever said something wrong in English and felt embarrassed? I remember my first time speaking English in public. I wanted to order food, but I used the wrong words. People did not understand me. I felt very awkward and a bit ashamed. I stood in front of the counter, looking at the menu. My hands were sweating. I tried to remember the words I had learned in class. When the worker asked for my order, I mixed up the words for chicken and kitchen. It sounded very strange. The worker looked confused. She smiled and asked me to repeat. I felt my cheeks turn red. I tried again, but I was so nervous that I said the wrong word again. Other people in line started to look at me, waiting for their turn. I wanted to disappear. I thought, why can't I speak? Why is this so hard for me? My mind was full of worry. After a few more tries, the worker finally understood what I wanted. She gave me my food, but I felt so embarrassed. As I walked to my table, I could hear people talking and laughing. I wondered if they were laughing at me. I tried to eat my food, but my stomach felt tight. I did not want to try again. I wanted to give up on speaking English. But deep inside, I knew that English was important for my future. I thought about all the times I would need to use English at school, at work, and when meeting new people. I could not run away from it. I had to find a way to get better. That was only the beginning. I made many more mistakes after that. Every time I tried to speak, I worried about saying something wrong again. But I also knew that if I stopped trying, I would never improve. So I kept going step by step. One day, I tried to say hello to a new classmate. I wanted to make a friend. I practiced what I wanted to say many times in my head. When the moment came, I forgot half of my sentence. My classmate smiled kindly and answered anyway. Even though it was hard, I realized that some people were patient with me. Not everyone laughed or made me feel bad. Some people wanted to help me. This made me feel a little bit braver, even if I was still nervous. I started to pay attention to the words people used around me. I listened carefully when others spoke English. I tried to repeat new words to myself in a quiet voice. At night, I thought about the mistakes I made and how I could do better next time. After each small mistake, I felt disappointed. But I also told myself that learning takes time. No one learns a new language in one day. I needed to be patient with myself, even when I wanted to give up. I tried to remember that everyone starts somewhere. At home, I practiced speaking English in front of the mirror. I watched my mouth move and tried to say the words clearly. I made funny faces when I said something wrong. Sometimes I even laughed at myself. This helped me feel less scared. I told myself, tomorrow I will try again. Each day I tried to say at least one new sentence in English. Some days were better than others. Some days I still felt awkward and embarrassed. But I knew that practice was important. That was only the beginning. I made many more mistakes after that. Each mistake was a lesson. I did not know it yet, but every small step was bringing me closer to becoming better at English. My story was just starting. Now, I want to share how I felt inside. Each time I made a mistake, my heart beat very fast. I thought everyone was looking at me, but most people were busy with their own lives. Some did not even notice my mistakes. Little by little, I tried to stop worrying about what others thought. I focused on my own goal. I wanted to learn English for myself. I wanted to speak with confidence. I wanted to make new friends and have new experiences. That first awkward moment in the restaurant was hard, but it was also important. It showed me that making mistakes is part of learning. It taught me not to give up, even when I felt embarrassed or afraid. That was only the beginning. I made many more mistakes after that. Why do we feel so scared to speak a new language? For me, the fear was always there. Every time I wanted to say something in English, my heart would beat very fast. My hands would shake a little, and I felt butterflies in my stomach. I worried about making mistakes all the time. I thought, what if I say the wrong thing? Or what if people laugh at me? Sometimes I even worried that people would think I was not smart because I spoke broken English. In my English class, I did not want to raise my hand. When the teacher called my name, I tried to look small so that no one would notice me. Sometimes I knew the answer, but I was too scared to say it in front of everyone. At home, I practiced English with my notebook. I wrote down new words and simple sentences. I said them out loud again and again. But when I needed to speak with other people, all my practice seemed to disappear. My mind went blank. I saw my classmates who spoke English well. They talked and laughed easily. I felt jealous of them. I thought, maybe English is too hard for me. Maybe I will never be as good as them. These thoughts made me feel even more insecure. One day, I was walking to school with my friend. She spoke better English than me. She tried to help me practice. But when I made a mistake, I laughed to hide my feelings. I did not want her to see that I was scared or embarrassed. In the classroom, our teacher asked us to do a group project. I wanted to help, but I was afraid to speak. I was worried I would slow the group down or say something wrong. So I did not talk much, and my ideas stayed inside my head. Every time someone looked at me while I tried to speak English, I felt nervous. Their eyes made me feel small. I worried that they were judging me. Sometimes I just nodded or smiled, even if I did not understand what they said. At home, I thought about giving up. I asked myself, why do I feel so afraid? I wanted to be better, but the fear was strong. Sometimes I even wished I could just use my own language everywhere and never have to speak English at all. But deep inside, I still wanted to improve. I knew that English was important for my future. I wanted to travel, make new friends, and maybe get a good job one day. I did not want to let my fear stop me from reaching my dreams. I told myself that I would not give up. I wanted to try again, even if I was scared. I wanted to find ways to feel less nervous when I spoke English. Maybe I could start with small steps and get better little by little. I thought about what I could do to feel more confident. Maybe I could practice with someone patient. Maybe I could remember that making mistakes is normal. I decided that the only way to get better was to keep trying, even if I was afraid. So I made a plan. Each day I would try to say at least one sentence in English, no matter how simple. If I made a mistake, I would not give up. I would learn from it and try again. I wanted to be brave and take small steps forward. Some days were harder than others. Sometimes I felt like I was not improving at all, but I remembered why I started. I wanted to be able to speak English well one day. I knew that I had to keep practicing and believe in myself. Slowly, I started to notice small changes. When I made a mistake, I did not feel as bad as before. I started to laugh at myself and move on. My friends and family supported me. They told me that I was doing well and that I should keep going. I realized that everyone makes mistakes when they learn something new. Even people who speak English perfectly now were beginners once. They all felt scared and nervous in the beginning, just like me. So I decided not to give up. I told myself, you can do this. Each day, I tried a little harder. I spoke English even when I was afraid. I wanted to become better, no matter how long it took. But I really wanted to improve. I decided not to give up. The first tries are always the hardest. My first conversations in English were full of mistakes. Sometimes I said the wrong words and people looked confused. Sometimes they asked me to repeat what I said. Sometimes I just smiled and said nothing. I remember one day in the market. I wanted to buy apples, but I forgot the word. I pointed at the apples and said, I want this red ball. The seller laughed kindly and said, apple? I nodded and felt a bit silly, but I learned the right word that day. At school, I tried to join a group discussion. I wanted to share my ideas, but the words came out wrong. My friends tried to help me, but sometimes I just smiled and stayed quiet. After the class, I felt frustrated and wondered if I could ever get better. There were times when I thought I would never learn. I listened to songs in English, but I could not understand all the words. When I watched movies, I needed subtitles. Sometimes I wished I could just speak my own language. Once, I tried to help a tourist find his way. I wanted to say, "Turn left at the next street," but I said, "Turn right at the next street." The tourist looked surprised, and then he smiled. He thanked me anyway, and I felt proud for trying, even if it was wrong. Every mistake felt big at that time. I was afraid to try again, but I knew that if I stopped, I would never learn. So I told myself to keep going. Each time I spoke, I learned something new, even if it was just a small word or phrase. At home, I practiced speaking in front of the mirror. I talked to myself, repeating simple sentences. Sometimes I pretended to be in a shop or a restaurant. I practiced ordering food or asking for directions. This made me feel a little more prepared. My family supported me. They listened to me speak English and helped me with words I did not know. My younger sister laughed sometimes, but she also tried to speak with me. We learned new words together and made small games to practice. I started to notice that mistakes were a part of learning. Every time I made a mistake, I remembered it better the next time. I realized that even if people laughed or corrected me, it helped me learn and improve. I also learned to listen more carefully. When someone spoke English, I tried to focus on every word. I repeated new words in my head and wrote them down in my notebook. I read my notes before bed, hoping to remember them the next day. Some days were better than others. Sometimes I could say what I wanted without any trouble. Other days I made many mistakes. But I learned not to let one bad day stop me from trying again. I knew I had to keep practicing. My teacher told me, "It's okay to make mistakes. That's how you learn." At first, I did not believe her. But after many tries, I saw that she was right. Each mistake was a small step forward, not a step back. I realized that even native speakers sometimes make mistakes. They forget words or say something wrong. If they can laugh at their mistakes, why can't I do the same? I started to smile when I made a mistake and tried to learn from it. One day I spoke with a new friend from another country. We both spoke English as a second language. We helped each other, laughed at our mistakes, and learned new words together. I felt less alone and more confident. I started to understand. Mistakes are part of learning. Each time I tried and failed, I learned a little more. I was slowly becoming more comfortable with English. I was not perfect, but I was improving every day. With each small success, I felt a bit prouder. I could order food, ask for directions, and say hello to new friends. These simple things made me believe that I could keep going. My journey was just beginning, and I wanted to see how far I could go. I started to understand. Mistakes are part of learning. What if mistakes could help you get better? One day, someone told me, "It's okay to make mistakes. That's how you learn." At first, I was not sure if this was true, but I thought about my journey and all the things I had learned from my mistakes. This new idea made me feel different inside. I realized that I did not need to be perfect. I just needed to keep trying and learning. If I made a mistake, it was not a failure. It was a chance to learn something new. That thought made me feel more relaxed. I started to watch and listen more when people spoke English. I listened to their words and how they said them. When I heard a new word, I wrote it down in my notebook. If I was not sure how to use it, I asked my teacher or looked it up. I also tried to speak English more often, even if I felt nervous. I joined a small group in my class where we could practice speaking. Sometimes I still made mistakes, but my classmates helped me. We learned together and corrected each other. The more I practiced, the more I understood. I learned that it is okay to ask questions. If I did not know a word, I asked for help. Most people were happy to help me, and they did not judge me for not knowing everything. I noticed that my listening skills improved too. I could understand more words and phrases in songs and movies. When I watched TV, I tried to repeat sentences I heard. I spoke out loud and tried to copy the way native speakers talked. One day, I realized that I was not as afraid as before. I could have a short conversation with a classmate without feeling very nervous. I still made mistakes, but I did not feel ashamed. I felt proud that I was trying my best. This was the turning point for me. I stopped thinking about mistakes as something bad. I started to see them as steps on my path to learning. The more I tried, the more confident I became. I wanted to learn even more. I also found new ways to learn English. I tried using my phone to learn new words. I downloaded an app for learning English and used it every day. The app had games and quizzes that made learning fun. I learned many new words this way. Sometimes I listened to music in English and tried to sing along. I did not understand all the words at first, but with time, I learned more. I wrote down the lyrics and searched for the meaning of new words. This helped me remember them. I made a habit of writing a short diary in English every night. At first, my sentences were very simple, but I tried to use new words I learned that day. I wrote about my feelings, my day at school, and my dreams for the future. My English was not perfect, but it was better than before. My teacher noticed my progress and told me I was doing well. My family saw that I was more confident when I spoke. I felt happy because I knew I was improving. Now I was excited to learn even more. I wanted to speak English more fluently. I knew that I still had a lot to learn, but I was ready for the challenge. Every day, I tried to use English in my life, even if it was just a little. So I started to look for better ways to learn English. Learning can be fun, not boring. I decided to make English a part of my daily life. I started with small things. I watched movies and listened to music in English. At first, I chose cartoons and children's songs because they were simple and easy to understand. I also read simple storybooks in English. I liked stories with pictures because they helped me guess the meaning of new words. When I found a word I did not know, I wrote it down and looked it up. I felt happy when I could understand more of the story. Listening to English songs became my favorite way to learn. I tried to sing along, even if I did not know all the words. Sometimes I searched for the lyrics online and read them as I listened. This helped me remember new phrases and sentences. I made a short diary in English every day. I wrote about what I did, how I felt, or what I wanted to do tomorrow. My sentences were simple at first, but I tried to use new words I learned from songs, movies, or books. Writing helped me remember better. I also talked to myself in English when I was alone. I described what I was doing or what I saw around me. Sometimes I acted like I was speaking to a friend. It was a bit funny, but it made me feel more comfortable with speaking English out loud. Sometimes I joined English groups online. I found people from different countries who wanted to practice English too. We sent short messages or voice notes. We helped each other and shared tips for learning. I made new friends from different places. I played word games in English on my phone. The games helped me learn new vocabulary and remember the spelling of words. It did not feel like studying. It felt like playing. I was having fun, but I was also learning at the same time. I started to repeat sentences I heard in movies or on TV. I paused the video and tried to copy how the actors spoke. Sometimes I sounded funny, but I kept practicing. Little by little, I got better at saying words clearly and with the right intonation. I noticed that learning English became more enjoyable. I was not just memorizing grammar rules or vocabulary lists. I was using English to do things I liked. This made me want to learn more and practice every day. I looked forward to my English time, but sometimes I still felt stuck. There were days when I forgot words I had learned. Sometimes I could not understand a song or a movie even if I tried hard. I worried that I was not making progress and that my English was not getting better. I tried to be patient with myself. I remembered that learning a language takes time. Even if I felt stuck, I knew that I was improving step by step. I told myself to keep going, even when it was difficult or boring. I did not want to give up. I also asked my teacher and friends for help when I needed it. They answered my questions and gave me tips for learning. Sometimes we practiced speaking together after class. We corrected each other and learned from our mistakes. With every new habit, I could feel my English getting better. I spoke more confidently and I made fewer mistakes. I started to enjoy talking with people in English, even if I still made small errors. I knew I was on the right path, but sometimes I still felt stuck. Do you ever feel like you are not improving, even when you try hard? After a few months, I felt that my English was not getting better. I kept practicing every day, but I made the same mistakes again and again. It was very frustrating for me. I read books, listened to music, and watched movies in English. I tried to speak with my friends and write my diary every night. But sometimes, I still could not find the right words when I wanted to say something. My sentences felt slow and simple. I saw other students in my class who were learning faster than me. They spoke more fluently and used difficult words. I started to compare myself to them. I thought, why am I not improving? Maybe I am not good at languages. This feeling made me sad and worried. Some days, I wanted to stop practicing. I thought, what's the use? I am working so hard, but I am not getting better. But I remembered why I started. I needed English for my future, so I did not stop trying. I asked my teacher for help. She told me that everyone has a slow period when learning a language. She called it the plateau. She said it was normal to feel stuck, even if I was still learning little by little. Her words gave me hope. I tried to change my learning methods. Instead of just reading and listening, I started to speak more often. I recorded myself speaking and listened to the recordings. I noticed my pronunciation was getting better, even if it was just a little. I also practiced with my friends outside of class. We made a rule to speak only English for 1 hour each day. At first, it was difficult, and we made many mistakes. But after a few weeks, it started to feel easier. We laughed at our mistakes and learned together. I joined an English club in my town. We met once a week and talked about different topics. Everyone in the club was learning English, so we helped each other. It was a good way to practice speaking and listening in a friendly place. I started to use new words and phrases in my daily life. I tried to order food in English at restaurants, even if the workers spoke my language. Sometimes I made mistakes, but I felt braver each time I tried. Little by little, I got more confident. I learned that it is important to be patient with yourself. Learning a language is like climbing a mountain. Sometimes the path is steep and slow. Sometimes you cannot see the top. But if you keep climbing, you will get there one day. Some days I still felt frustrated. But I told myself, just keep going. Do not stop. I believed that one day all my practice would show results. I just needed to be patient and keep trying new ways to learn. I also changed my thinking. Instead of saying, I cannot do this, I said, I am learning. Instead of comparing myself to others, I focused on my own progress. I looked back and saw how much I had improved since my first day. I made a list of all the new words and phrases I had learned. I read them out loud every day. This made me feel proud of myself and showed me that I was improving, even if it was slow. I celebrated my small successes. I stayed motivated by setting small goals. For example, I wanted to finish one English book, learn 10 new words each week, or speak for 5 minutes without stopping. Each time I reached a goal, I felt happy and ready to keep going. Then, one day, something changed. Suddenly, things started to work. One day I was talking to a new friend in English. We were having a normal conversation about our favorite foods and hobbies. For the first time, I understood almost everything he said. I answered his questions without thinking too much. I realized that I was not translating in my head as much as before. The words came out more naturally. I did not have to stop and search for every word. I made a few small mistakes, but my friend understood me. We laughed and talked for a long time. After our conversation, I felt very happy and proud of myself. I could not believe how much I had improved. My English was not perfect, but it was much better than before. I could see all my hard work starting to pay off. It was a wonderful feeling. I told my teacher about my conversation. She smiled and said, "See, practice really works. You just have to keep going." Her words made me feel even more motivated. I wanted to practice more and get even better at speaking English. From that day, I felt more confident when I spoke English. I joined more group activities at school. I answered questions in class and talked with my classmates during breaks. The fear I felt before was now much smaller. I was not as afraid to make mistakes. I started to help other students who were struggling with English. I shared my tips and encouraged them not to give up. I told them about my own mistakes and how I learned from them. We practiced together and became better friends. I also noticed that I could understand more when I watched movies or listened to music. Sometimes, I even caught jokes or small details that I missed before. This made watching and listening more fun and interesting for me. My family saw the difference in me. They said I sounded more confident when I spoke English at home. My younger sister asked me to help her with her English homework. I felt proud to be able to teach her new words and phrases. This breakthrough moment changed my attitude. I started to enjoy learning English. It was not just something I had to do for school or work. It became something I liked to do. I wanted to learn new words, try new expressions, and talk with more people. I learned that practice really works. Every day I tried to speak or write something in English. Even if it was just a little, it helped me get better. I knew I still had a long way to go, but I was excited for the journey ahead. I realized that learning a language is like planting a seed. At first, you cannot see any change. But if you water it every day and give it sunlight, one day you will see it grow. My English was growing, and I was happy to see the progress. From that moment, I promised myself to keep practicing. I wanted to reach a level where I could talk to anyone about anything. I knew it would take time and effort, but I was ready for the challenge. I believed in myself more than ever before. I learned that practice really works. What do good English learners do every day? I wanted to become fluent, so I started to build daily habits that helped me learn. Every morning, I watched short videos in English while I ate breakfast. The videos were funny and easy to understand. I repeated sentences from the videos out loud. I tried to copy the way people spoke and practice saying the words clearly. Sometimes, I stood in front of the mirror and talked to myself. It felt strange at first, but soon it became a part of my routine. I made a list of new words each week. I wrote them on small cards and carried them in my pocket. When I had free time, I took out the cards and read the words. I tried to use them in my own sentences so I would not forget them. In the afternoon, I listened to English music while doing my homework or chores. I tried to understand the lyrics and sang along when I could. Music made learning feel more natural and enjoyable. It was easier to remember words when they were in a song. Sometimes I watched cartoons or movies in English without subtitles. I focused on listening carefully, even if I did not understand everything. This helped my listening skills grow. After a while, I started to understand more and more without needing subtitles. At night, I wrote in my English diary. I described my day, my feelings, and my plans. Writing every day helped me practice making sentences and using new words. I liked reading old entries to see how much my English had improved over time. I also joined online English groups where people shared tips and practiced together. We sent messages and talked in video calls. Meeting people from different countries made learning more interesting. We helped each other and shared our cultures. Sometimes I tried to think in English. When I walked to school or waited for the bus, I described things I saw in English in my mind. This small habit made speaking English feel more natural, like it was a normal part of my life. Every day I spoke English out loud, even if I was alone. I asked myself questions and answered them. I pretended to order food, ask for directions, or introduce myself. This practice made real conversations feel easier and less scary. I learned new words and phrases, but I did not try to learn too many at once. I focused on the words I needed in my daily life. When I felt comfortable with them, I added more. This way, I did not feel overwhelmed or tired of learning. I used my phone to help me learn. I downloaded apps for vocabulary, grammar, and listening practice. I played word games, did quizzes, and listened to short stories. My phone became a helpful tool for learning English wherever I went. These simple daily habits helped me a lot. I did not need to study for hours every day. Even a few minutes was enough, as long as I practiced regularly. My English became smoother and I made fewer mistakes in conversations. But there is one more important thing. You do not need to be perfect to be confident. This is what I learned after a long time. For many months, I wanted to sound like a native speaker. I tried to hide my accent and copy every word perfectly. I felt shy when my English was not perfect. One day, my teacher said, "Everyone has an accent. Your English is a part of who you are." Her words made me think. I realized that it was okay to sound different. What mattered most was being brave and trying my best, not speaking without mistakes. I looked at my friends. Some of them spoke English with different accents too. Some spoke slowly and some forgot words sometimes, but we all understood each other. We all had something special in the way we spoke English. I stopped comparing myself to others. I decided to focus on my own progress. When I made a mistake, I did not feel ashamed. I knew that mistakes meant I was learning. Even native speakers made mistakes sometimes, so I did not need to be perfect. I also realized that confidence comes from inside. When I accepted my English, I felt better about speaking. I was not afraid of what people thought of my accent or grammar. I spoke with a smile and tried to enjoy every conversation. My friends noticed the change in me. They said I looked happier and more relaxed when I spoke English. I started to help others who felt nervous about speaking. I told them, "You do not need to be perfect. You just need to keep trying." I saw that my courage helped other people. When they saw me trying, they wanted to try too. We supported each other and shared our stories. This made learning English more fun and less scary for everyone. I learned that it is important to accept yourself. When you do, you can focus on your goals and not on your fears. Speaking English is not just about grammar and vocabulary. It is also about sharing your ideas and connecting with people. I stopped hiding my mistakes and started to learn from them. If I did not know a word, I asked for help. If I forgot something, I laughed and tried again. I became more open and friendly in conversations. People were happy to talk with me. Now I enjoy every chance to speak English. I am proud of how far I have come. I am not perfect, but I am confident. I know that I can keep improving if I keep practicing and believing in myself. Are you ready to feel more confident in your English too? If I can do it, you can do it too. My journey from broken English to fluent English was not fast, but it was possible. I made many mistakes, learned from them, and never stopped trying. Every small step helped me get closer to my goal. I still make mistakes sometimes, but I am not afraid anymore. Now I know that learning never ends. There is always something new to learn, even for people who speak English very well. I am proud of my progress and excited for what is next. When I look back, I see how far I have come. I remember my first awkward conversation and all the times I felt insecure. I remember feeling stuck, but I did not give up. I tried new ways to learn, built daily habits, and learned to accept myself. The most important lesson I learned is that anyone can improve. You do not need to be perfect. You just need to start, make mistakes, and keep going. Every master was once a beginner. It is normal to feel nervous or shy at first. So, if you want to speak English better, start today. Use the small tips I shared. Watch videos, write a diary, talk to yourself, join a group, or make new friends. Do something in English every day, even if it is just for a few minutes. Celebrate your progress. Be proud of every word you learn, every sentence you speak, and every new friend you make in English. The journey is not always easy, but it is worth it. You will find new confidence and new opportunities along the way. Remember, you are not alone. Many people feel nervous or make mistakes when learning English. What matters is that you keep trying. If I can learn to speak English, so can you. We can all help each other and learn together. If you like this story, let's practice English together. Subscribe, share your own story, and remember, every master was once a beginner. Keep going. Your journey is just beginning, and the best is yet to come.